All right, so we have inserted all the data now. Radna flight plan. Oops. Right. Oh, yes, the alternate airport. Hang on. The alternate airport is Cologne. Yep. People who come watch my stream regularly know a lot of things break on the aircraft when I'm flying. So, like today, something's going to break on the way to Frankfurt, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of decisions we're going to make. Right. So let me get my checklist out. Always the same kind of deal with the checklists. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ever since I have so many different aircraft, I have tons of paper on my desk, and I always have to search for the checklists. Right, so here we go. So cockpit preparations have been completed. Signs are on and auto. Fuel quantity 5,400. Well, we have 5,280 kilograms now. And the altimeters. Oh, hang on. Let me just check the ATIS.
Lima, India, Mike, Charlie, airport information, India, 1920, Zulu, weather, wind, 008, at 8, visibility, 10, sky condition,
Frozen Malibu, hi, welcome.
At 5,000, temperature, 5, dew point, 4, QNH, 1000, advise on initial contact, you have information, India, Lima, India, Mike, Charlie, airport information, India, 1920, Zulu, weather, wind, 008, at 8, visibility, 10, sky condition, few clouds at 5,000, temperature, 5, dew point, 4, QNH, 1000, advise on initial contact.
So 100 is set, and we have 800 feet. Windows doors closed, beacon is on, and the thrust levers are idle, and the parking brake is set. Can you use the most realistic PSC view in the seat? Difficult. I mean, it's, you know, the human eye kind of works completely different than what you see on the screen.
We are ready for pushback.
And for me, what I did, I was trying to get a certain distance so I can see the engine instruments, the primary flight display, navigation display, and still read the numbers. And so if you look up here with the eye alignment, you can see that I'm not perfectly aligned according to these red and white balls there. But it doesn't matter. This is the view that I'm happy with. You have to set your own or make your own settings, and so have a go.
Departure check completed. Flight has been inserted. Release parking brakes.
So at least the ramp agent is talking to me again.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brakes set.
So he says no engine start during pushback. All right. Yeah, usually what you would do in real life, you would adjust your seat in a way that these balls, they line up perfectly. So the red ball would hide the white one. And then you would have the correct eye position for the instruments. So this would be, for the zoom factor I'm using, the correct setting. However, you can see that now I can't read the top of the line on the navigation display. I can still read the primary flight display, so that would be okay. But here, so it just doesn't work completely for me. But that would be the way to set up your eye position.
Set parking brakes.
Right, parking brake is set. Let's check the APU bleed is on. Ready for engine start. So, starting engine 2. So start valve is opened, bleed pressure, pressuring the starter motor, turning N2, the inner
Unlocking gear.
the inner part of the engine. So at about 25% we'll get the fuel flow, and shortly afterwards ignition. EGT is rising. Ayla Hayes, welcome. How are you, man? So the start valve is closed and we can start engine 1. Airbus fan, the ground crew said you know, start engines once the parking brake is set. So
Left is clear.
I was
Right is
cleared.
clear.
But usually you would have to be very careful with the engine start, yeah. Oh, that is interesting. Why is that? Oh. Who switched off the engine 1 pump? Please. It's probably the co-pilot having a joke with me again. Right, start valve is closing, and so engine now running up to idle values.
Autopilot.
And we have available. FS Pilot 214, thank you for the
Autopilot.
follow, man. Welcome to the stream. Right, after start flow, as always, starting at the overt panel, switching off the bleed and the APU itself. Then we'll select norm, setting the spoilers, setting flaps 1 or 2, whatever you've calculated for the departure. And then we'll do the flight control check. Checking that the elevators, the ailerons are moving into the correct position. So the left aileron going up, spoilers on the same side going up, and the right aileron down. Other way around, the right spoilers are extending. And so back to neutral, elevator full down and full up, and checking the rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Zolimani, hi, welcome to the stream. And so we're ready to read the after start checklist. Anti-ice. Let's have a look. Is it raining? Nah. So anti-ice is off. ECAM status is checked, and the trim. Let's see. All right. So 0.3 set 0 after start checklist completed. Ready for taxi. And let me get the taxi chart out. Well, I know my way. Alright, so checking left is clear, the right is clear, and so we'll set park brake to off. I'm gonna switch on some lights for taxi. Oh yeah, have a look at the nose wheel, guys. It's simulated really well. That actually happens in real life as well. That one of the wheels actually goes airborne if you're doing a full turn, and it really puts a lot of stress on the nose gear to do that. So we try to avoid that as often as possible. But sometimes you have to do that kind of sharp turn. So yeah, really well modeled. So the airport is quite tough on the VAS and on frame rates. I'm getting 22 frames a second at the moment. So first experience with Milano. It seems like the new airports that are coming out are really kind of taking a hit on the system. So what I usually do in what pilots do in real life is so when you're taxiing out and you have a weather situation where there might be some thunderstorms around, some cumulus-nimbus, we will switch on the weather radar while taxiing out, and that way have a look and scan in case we need to do a quick return to the field. We scan if there's any thunderstorms in the approach sector. Yeah, the guys from FSLabs, they have taken this kind of simulation to a new level, yeah. And so, you know, I'm still having so much fun with this aircraft, simulating failures. And I know some people have been requesting electrical failures, and I will do that at some point, but it would be absolutely pointless for me to do an electric failure and you'd see, you know, warning lights go off and some systems fail, but you just can't really follow what I'm doing. So what I'm going to try and do is get some documents ready for you to download when we do a workshop on electrics, and that way, you know, you'll be a lot easier for you to follow my procedures or the abnormal procedures. Right, so we should be, not sure, is it here or one more? No, could be one more. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Electric failures will be coming up over the next couple of months or weeks, and yeah, AC buses fail, DC buses fail, yeah, all kinds of stuff. I mean, the thing there is, the neat thing, if one bus fails, for example, you still have the autopilot, which is really nice. Whenever I have to fly on my own, and I have a heavy abnormal and have to fly manually, it just, you know, really messes up things. You know, the workload just gets so high with that. So hopefully I'm going to be able to cross here and taxi over to the 35 right. So whenever you're entering an active runway, switch on the strobe lights. And then we'll check that the right is clear, and also that the left is clear. Looks good. So preparing the aircraft for departure, outer brake going max, predictive wind shear is going on. I thought about that, and the takeoff config test. So everything is blue, nice. So 35 right will be to the left here. Alright guys, so we're gonna fly towards Frankfurt, and like I said, something's gonna happen sometime during the flight, and you guys can download the checklist for emergency descent if you like, and have a look at the items that have to be performed. And what we'll do then, once I'm doing the descent, I'm gonna ask you for the options that we have, and you know, what we should do after that. We'll do a analysis of the fault and see where we will head off to. Maybe even fly to Frankfurt, I don't know. We'll see. Nikki, welcome. Hi, glad you can make it. How are you? And Daggy, hi. MR3, Murmus, hi, welcome. Haven't seen you here for quite some time. I guess you've been busy working, right? So we're coming up to runway 35 right. And so we'll get the lineup clearance. I'm gonna switch off the packs today, a lot better performance. And so...
Autopilot. Autopilot.
Lorenzo Aria, thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to the channel. Black box, when you fly manually, with which margins can you hold an altitude? Oh, it should be within 30 feet, 50 feet maybe. 100 is the absolute limit. I mean, if you're doing a check flight, for example, and you deviate by more than 100 feet, you could fail your check flight. So 50 feet is a kind of a, you know, a margin which you can use, but 100 feet would be getting too high or too much. You opened the window accidentally, 3,000 feet. Okay, have fun closing that. And Pedro, hi, good evening. All right. So below the line, before takeoff checklist, we have to read flight controls checked, flaps setting 1 + F, takeoff speeds, flex 135, 135,
Autopilot.
136, and flex is 45. Adikul, thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to the channel. Eka Memo, takeoff. We have no blue, so no blue items. Everything is prepared. Takeoff runway 235 right, full length, and packs are off. Right, so line up, clear takeoff. Dew point, that's the temperature at which you have 100% humidity. So if you have 10 degrees, or let's say 7 degrees outside temperature and 7 degrees dew point, most likely you'll have fog, because the temperature has reached the dew point, and then you have 100% of humidity. Yeah, exactly, Daggy. There was a 737 British Airways pilot who was sucked out of the window, yeah, when it broke. That was quite spectacular. That and amazing that he survived. Luckily, he did survive. So. Well, the difference between the temperature and the dew point will give you the spread, temperature spread. So say you're flying to an airport and you hear, or you're doing preparations, right, in the morning, for example, and you see that there's only 2 degrees spread at your destination airport, and it's still dark, and you know that when the sun rises, the temperature will drop by 1 or 2 degrees, and then it could hit the dew point, and at that point it could actually get foggy. So yes, it is quite essential that you get get the dew point. Was it a back 111 or was it a 737? I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm going to take off. Weather radar shows no echoes, so everything is clear. I'm gonna take terrain mode now. Starting the chrono, 50%, let the engine stabilize. And then take off. Manflex 45 SAS runway, and outer thrust is blue. A little bit forward stick pressure, help the nose wheel steering. At 100 knots the rudder will become very effective, so 100 knots, stick to neutral.
V1.
Rotate. Nice rotation, positive rate, gear up. And we have enough. So wait till we have 500 feet, that's the lowest altitude we should turn. So turning to the first fix. And have a look, guys, the clouds today are a lot brighter than yesterday. I did change that setting. So thrust climb blue and auto thrust. And so the acceleration height was at 3,800. Right, setting autopilot 1, climb power set, and so we're going to switch on one of the packs. Alright, now we have climb mode, aircraft will accelerate, switching on pack 2. And so, because of the terrain situation, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select speed 220 knots, and that will help me climb steeper. And that way, once I'm clearing certain minimum altitudes, I might get a shortcut. Otherwise, if I'm not climbing very fast, I would have to fly all this part of the departure route. So climbing at 220 knots gives you a much steeper angle of climb. And so we can expect a shortcut that way. Alright, S speed, flaps 0. Right, Alt star, 6,000 feet, getting clearance to level 160, thrust climb, open climb, 160. Yeah, dew point, it doesn't make sense that you have a higher dew point than the temperature. That will make the explanation absurd, so yeah. And spoilers, of course, Bruno. And also, we can switch off the nose gear lights here. Right. Yes, Murmis, very good point. Yeah. So warm air can store a lot more humidity, water particles. So when the temperature cools down, condensation will occur a lot easier, because the air won't be able to hold that much moisture. Yep. Ah. Bruno, is that a shout? TCAS. I'm gonna have to put that on my checklist. Right, we're passing level 100. It's now safe to get a shortcut. We'll do that. We'll get a direct to Nikmo. And we'll insert that. We have to make sure that we can cross Abesi level 150, which we are. Right, passing level 100, switching off the landing lights. No turbulence around, so we'll start our service. Abra, what do you mean update this video on YouTube? You mean upload? Nikki? No, usually the lights, you wouldn't need them. Ooh, that's a big cloud there. I think I'm gonna divert a little bit to the right here. Could have some turbulence there, so in this case, if I see a cloud, this kind of contour layers or contours, I would try to avoid that. And Murmurs, thank you for the host. Appreciate that. Upload, yeah, I can't upload every single stream. I mean, it's just so much, work for me to edit those videos. Oh yeah, I was saying with the lights. No, usually if it's really bright, you wouldn't need the lights. Then you would dim it down to save the life of the bulbs. But for me in a simulator, with these kinds of textures, I find it easier to read if I'm switching on some of the lights. Right, coming level 160, we're gonna continue climb now level 360. We're gonna have a look at the optimum. So max is 393 and we filed 380, but that's 2,000 feet above the optimum. And so we're going to, we're going to maintain level 360 today. MCK. I should be doing that, yeah, because that was an interesting stream, yeah. Yeah, Soleimani, there would be things to consider if you're taking off at these very high altitude airports. I never flew to those in A320, so, well, anyhow, even Mexico isn't really a high altitude airport. So I've never flown to into those operations. Maybe Murmis can say something about that if he likes to. But yeah, there would be certain procedures, yeah. And for example, in the A320, and let's just proceed direct to NICMO first. So in the A320, what you have here is a switch. It says high altitude landing.
Autopilot.
Second Pixel Gaming,
Autopilot.
thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What was the question? High altitude airport. If there's any special procedures for that. So for example, you know, if you have a very high landing altitude, you can use that switch in order to prevent the oxygen masks in the cabin to drop down automatically. So that would be one of the things you would have to consider when flying to such an airport. Right, so we can accelerate now. We've made all the levels that we need to make. A base level 150 is assured. What level of airport is counted as high? Good question.
Autopilot. Autopilot.
Imchasa, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Difficult to say. I mean, 10,000 feet would be a kind of a magical number, but depending on the way the pressurization system works on certain aircraft, they could have different kind of limitations, but different kind of definitions. What is counted as a high-level airport? Yeah. So, for example, Boeing. Yeah, Boeing could say 8,000 feet, and Airbus could say 9,000, 10,000 feet. So it depends, I guess, on the aircraft type and so on. Now this is just simple computer, Azabiko. It'll just calculate the level, and you also have to remember that the max level in an A320 is level 390. So it even says, you know, maximum level would be 394 performance-wise. You can't go that high because you're limited by the aircraft itself. Yeah, MCK, no worries though. Come on. This livery was made so quickly and with such a lot of enthusiasm, you know. Let's not be too picky. I'm so amazed at, you know, the kind of community that we have here, and people, you know, taking time, their precious time, and doing something for the community, like Tommy, who's been, you know, doing the project with the virtual airline. A lot of work that went into there, and Mythcare doing the delivery here. I have another delivery coming up the next stream, and so, you know, I'm really honored and humbled that people, you know, do this for the community here. So beautiful Alps scenery at the moment, very nice. Let me just have a look here. Nice. So yeah, but of course, so if you have a rapid decompression, then all these molecules will be disappearing, and so you don't have enough oxygen to breathe, and that's why you have the oxygen generators and oxygen masks that drop out to help you. And just to give you an impression about the what we call the time of useful consciousness. So if you're flying at 15,000 feet, you can withstand blackout for 30 minutes or more, depending on your physique. So flying at 15,000 feet usually doesn't kill you. You might go unconscious after about 30 minutes, but it doesn't kill you. It won't be nice, but you know. Now, 25,000 feet, for example, if you're at 25,000 feet, you will have about 3 to 5 minutes of time of useful consciousness. After that, you will get hypoxia, and you won't be able to, you know, make proper decisions anymore. And you think it's a laugh. I mean, your mood will go up. Everything will become very funny to you, but that's just the way hypoxia works for some people. And so 3 to 5 minutes at 25,000 feet. At 35,000 feet, you have 30 to 60 seconds before you black out. And that's not a lot. And you know that some airliners fly above 40,000 feet, and above 40,000 feet, you only have 15 seconds roundabout of useful time of consciousness. So 15 seconds to put on the oxygen mask. Yeah, and there's some procedures at some airlines, of course, that if one pilot leaves the cockpit, say at 41,000 feet, the other pilot has to put on the oxygen mask for the time that the other pilot has left the flight deck, because you know it's so risky that he won't be able to put on his oxygen mask within 15 seconds, and then you have nobody in the flight deck, and we all know what happens or what can happen when you have that. Okay, so we are talking about rapid decompression. So we've talked about the terrain situations. So we're passing the northern side of the Alps, so terrain is getting lower again. Oh yes, you can now feel some pressure on the ears, and we see that the cabin rate is really increasing. So first thing to do is check that the bleeds are on, the pressure is on. Just have a look at the bleed situation here. So everything is working, so enough bleed pressure coming into the cabin. However, the cabin is losing pressure. So we'll do a quick level off here. We're just going to press vertical speed. Oh, here we are. So cabin has now reached 9,700 feet. We'll put on the oxygen masks first, switch on the signs for the passengers, and then we are going to descend. So altitude first, then we're going to turn away from the airway, just in case there's a plane below us. We're going to select the speed, the present speed, and then we will carefully extend the speed brakes. So now call the ATC, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. We are doing emergency descent. We'll set the TCAS to below. I'm gonna squawk 7700. That way, the air traffic controller will have all the sectors that are, you know, below us as well for air traffic control. Will get our signal. So let the aircraft descend, and we have an ECAM message. We have cabin pressure, excess cabin pressure altitude. Crew oxygen masks on. Descent, initiate. Now, emergency descent flight level 100 or minimum en route altitude. Well, we have cleared the Alps, so we're gonna select 100 for now. Speed maximum appropriate. Okay, so we didn't have an explosive kind of a decompression. So we don't have to worry that any door blew out, any windows blew out, any damage to the aircraft. So we can trade a little bit of energy or increase the speed to descend faster. Signs on, they are on. And engine mode, ignition. Just in case we do high G maneuvers and so on, you know, for some reason, just have the ignition fire up all the time now. So next thing to do is get the QRH out. Actually, there's an overflow. Let me just check the overflow. And it says cabin pressure exceeds 14,000 feet. Passenger oxygen mask manual on with 17,000 feet. So yes, we'll switch on the masks on manually. Let's see if I can get there. Here we go. Now they should have deployed automatically passing 14,000 feet. So this is just to make sure that they have deployed. Yeah, with the speed brake, like I said, you have to be careful. If you're at very high altitude, the VLS band will come up, and if you read the checklist that I've published, you will see that it has a note in there saying that you have to be careful with the VLS band. If it gets up to the actual speed or above it, the protections modes might get active. And so you have to be careful. But now, since we stabilized, descended somewhat, yeah, we can... Oh, has somebody have looked at the time? We'll have to replay that. I think it's about 2 minutes, correct? So presently we're doing 4.5, 5,000 feet a minute rate of descent. We'll increase that somewhat more. And so the cabin altitude now 20,000 feet. Now this is critical. This would mean people, if they don't use the oxygen mask, they might get, you know, injuries, or even, I don't know, not sure if they would die at that point, but they could have serious side effects from that. So looking at the QRH, it says when descent established, that's the case. Speed maximum appropriate. And engine mode selector ignition, that's what we have. ATC notify, we have done that. Also it says emergency descent over passenger address announce. So we would announce for the flight attendants mainly, emergency descent. ATC transponder 7700 and max flight level 100 or minimum en route altitude. We've talked about that. And then it says if cabin out more than 14,000 feet, passenger oxygen masks manually on. So the ECAM procedure equals the one that I've printed out. So we've done all the items, so now we can concentrate on flying, make sure we don't crash into any terrain and so on. And so now comes the troubleshooting part. What are we going to do now, guys? You tell me, you're my co-pilots. So what are we going to do? We're going to descend. Zurich is behind us. We have, is it Basel, Bayo, or how it's called in English? We have Friedrichshafen on the right. We have Stuttgart at 60 miles. So where are we going to land? Check doors panel. Yeah, you would get a warning if a door unlocked. So if you look at the door page, there will be no indications that are strange. So, but a flight attendant might call and say, you know, there's some hissing noise from that door or something. All right. So what's the reason for Friedrichshafen? Why would you go to Friedrichshafen? Alt star, leveling off level 100. Now speed brake. We have to stow, and we're going to slow down the aircraft just for a second. So Zurich has 320 at 5, light rain, few 800, scattered 2000, 3 degrees. So we could fly to Zurich. What is that Friedrichshafen? No. NY. Yeah, thank you. So, Friedrichshafen, light rain, scattered 600, broken 1300. I think they only have a category 1 approach. So, now this is a time critical abnormal. We might have passengers that are injured. So, we'll take the first suitable airport. And so, let me just check with the distance, DME distance, with Zurich East. Doesn't work, so we take Kilo Lima Oscar. Oh, so 20 miles from Zurich, all right. So decision first suitable airport is Zurich, and so we'll do that. Exactly, Devil. Yeah. So you would say think about the approach types that you have available, the runway length, and the emergency services. And Zurich is a big city, and so let's say if we have many injured passengers, then it would make sense to go to a big airport, because that way you can make sure that you have enough ambulances waiting. Oops. So, right. So I'm going to descend 5,000 now. So we contacted Zurich approach, saying we are diverting to Zurich, and tell them that we need assistance upon arrival. Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel as the new destination. Insert. And we'll be doing the arrival runway 16 ILS, no star and no via. We're getting radar vectors now. So here's the approach, and yes, MCK, you are correct. That's really, really close by. But like we said, we need to land fast. We have injured passengers. So let's get the chart out for Zurich.
Autopilot.
Luca, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it very much.
Autopilot.
Welcome to the stream. Alright, further right turn here. Here's some rain. I'm going to switch on the use the weather radar now. Right, Zurich ILS 16 10.5. That's pre-selected, and the QNH for Zurich was 1005. We'll select that. So we are going to request direct to the descent point, which is Enuso. And here we go.
Autopilot.
And Lobby 200, thank you for the follow, man.
Autopilot.
Welcome to the stream. So high speed towards the final, and the ILS is identified. We're going to program the performance page, activate the approach phase 1005, and that has the weather 3 degrees and kinetic wind 320 at 5. 320 at 5. Little bit of tailwind, but doesn't matter. We are planning to land as soon as we can. We're not going to mess about with flying long distance. Category 1 minimum is 1840. 1840, that is set. Good, engine anti-ice is coming on. 12 degrees, but once we slow down, the temperature will drop. I've used below, because I need to scan, the TCAS is set to below, so it scans 9,000 feet of altitude below.
2,500.
That is checked. Now in Nusa, the approach starts at 4,000, so we are 10 miles away. Gonna wait a few more miles. I'm gonna start to slow down, manage speed.
Autopilot. Autopilot.
Exactly, yeah, that's why they set the TCAS to below, yeah. Because they want to scan the area below you. Those clouds look so dark again. Well, they're not dark as like yesterday, but they look like as if there could be thunderstorms in them. That's strange. Alright, so 4,000 feet, gonna descend further now. About 5 miles to the descent point. Gonna arm the auto approach mode, autopilot 1 and 2, cut 3 dual, lock blue and glide slope blue.
Autopilot.
And Hamok, thank you for the follow.
Autopilot.
Welcome to the channel. So let's just recap. We have emergency descent, or we had emergency descent. We have some injured passengers. And so we'll just remain on the runway. We have the fire service and the ambulances waiting for us on the runway or near the runway. And so we can remain on the runway, let the services come on board and help the injured. And yeah, in case of misapproach, we'll be doing a radar vector left-hand pattern at 4,000 feet and do another approach. So we're coming up to the localizer and to the glide slope. And flaps going too. And since we want to fly a fast approach, I'm going to select the speed 180 for now, lock star, glide slope star. Elevation is 1400, so I'm going to wait just a little while. No, Tommy, like I said, I'm going to stay on the runway in this case, because that way, left and right of the aircraft is a lot of space. If you go on onto taxiway, taxiways are a lot smaller, not as wide, and so the emergency services would have difficulties getting to the aircraft. So in a big emergency like this, where you need lots of assistance, then I would remain on the runway. Regarding the approach itself, don't rush it completely. Don't try to be hero and force a go around. So it's we've made up time by doing a fast approach while we were still very high up. So now let's concentrate on flying the approach and make sure that we land successfully. If you do a missed approach because it can't get configured and stabilized in time, imagine you're wasting 10 minutes. By doing another pattern. Flaps coming full. Banalizator, hi, good evening. So VLS check, it says 129, 131 here, so we're going to add 2 knots, 136.
1,000.
1,000 is checked. Now, see that just in time, 1400, and now we're getting stabilized on the speed and so on. Right, landing checklist, Ekamimo landing, no blue. Now, since oh, hang on, let me start the Project Fly is working, so okay, let's try to make a good landing then. Now, I wouldn't do an auto land because I can't be sure that the safety areas are completely clear. So I'm going to land manually, runways inside, manual thrust as well.
Minimum.
Continue.
$300. $200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, retard, 5.
Right, spoilers. And we have reverse green decel.
Pull up, terrain. Pull up, don't sink. Too low, terrain. Too low, gear.
Oh, wow.
Too low, flap. Too low, terrain. Glide slope.
Yeah, the brake was a little bit too high. The float was too long. That was not a good landing. Not by my standards, it wasn't. So, but anyway, we made it down safely. We're just gonna stop here, and yeah. So we would set the parking brake, and a good co-pilot would have told me or asked me if he should switch on the APU in flight, and that would be one point to think about. That way we could already switch off the engine. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to lose power for a second. And so now the emergency services, they won't approach the aircraft as long as the engines are running. So I would switch off the beacons, switch off the engines, signalize them that you know, it's safe to approach the airplane.